I have to start the meeting, so I won't make comments yet, but good to see them. I'm calling the June 16, 2026 ATC meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. All right, first up is our flag salute. Councilmember Violet Stewart Gordon.
Good evening, everyone. Can I have everyone please rise if you're able to? And anyone that is watching, please join the Altadena Town Council in honoring our nation by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Councilmember Stewart Gordon. Next up, with a reflection on Juneteenth, Nicole Vasquez.
Hello, good evening. I think I could, yeah, good evening, hi. My name's Nicole Vasquez. I'm the program coordinator with My Tribe Rise here in Altadena. I just wanted to, thank you. I'm glad, you know, with my height that you can all see me. But thank you, Nick. And coming off of this weekend with our Human Chain event that was put on by the National Day Labor Organizing Network and Pride, and with Dina Juneteenth coming, go ahead and clap, yeah. With Dina Juneteenth coming up this weekend, I just can't say enough, and we all know it, how much we love our beautiful Altadena, right? Yes, and we always knew and felt that Altadena was special, but I really had no idea the depth of amazing that our community holds. I have met so many deeply genuine and loving humans post-fire, and I know because of all of us, because of our loving and fighting spirits, that we will come back stronger. We also know, thank you. We also know that post-fire really brought out the dark humor, I think, in a lot of us, because sometimes you just have to laugh because tears are just too many, right? So my wife and I often tell each other, there's no one else I'd rather have my house burned down with than you.
Thank you, Nicole. Next up for roll call, Councilmember Recording Secretary Sylvia Vega.
Good evening, council members. When I call your name, please say present or here. Connor Cipolla.
Is parked and heading in.
Okay. Morgan Wurlich.
Here.
Nick Arnzen.
Here.
Kim Yu.
Here.
Melissa Morona.
Present.
Dorothy Wong. Here. John Carmody.
Here.
Darlene Green.
Present.
Anton Anderson.
Present.
Isis Molden.
Here.
Pat Sutherland.
Here.
Vi Yvette Stewart Gordon.
Here.
Justin Moramus.
Here.
Reginald Wilkins.
Here.
Diane Markinson is excused. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. 1.4, we'll move on to the meeting agenda. Vice Chair Morona.
Good evening, fellow council and community members. There are agendas at the back of the room, they're actually outside, as well as public comment cards. Remember, we are being filmed, so council, please speak into the microphone. Additionally, I would ask everyone to please turn off your cell phones or silence them so they do not disrupt the meeting. The council welcomes input from the community on both agendized and non-agendized items. If you would like to make public comment, please fill out the cards that are on the table out in the lobby and give it to either council members on either end of the tables. As the council does not respond to public comment during the meetings, if you would like a response, please include your contact information on the public comment cards. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes only. These guidelines are in place to ensure that everyone wishing to make public comment has the time to do so, and that we can conduct this meeting in an orderly fashion. Council members, the Altadena Town Council Executive Committee met on Monday, June 1st to set the agenda for tonight's meeting and was sent to you on Thursday, June 11th. Are there any additional modifications to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, I move that we, a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Vice Chair,
We have-
Stuart Gordon, I move that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain? And unanimous. Thank you. We'll move on to the chair's report. First off, thank you, Councilmember Stuart Gordon. Yvette, I asked you as one of our proud Black women on the council to do that because I'm proud of everybody, men and women, and in between that is on the council who are standing up for our community. I'm proud of the diversity of this council, and I wanted to go ahead, as tradition, give you a gift, Vi. I'll put this right here. I'm also moving on to recognize Pride. Wave your flags, my friends. Wave your flags. Pride and Juneteenth exist on the same date. Did you want me to wave yours for you? And I think that's, they're in the same month, and I think that's beautiful because I've always pushed forward that celebrating diversity means that on any celebration of a single marginalized community member means that we celebrate all of us. We hold each other up, and we push forward together as a united effort. So I wanted to point out, I asked Nicole, thank you, Nicole, for being with us. Nicole Vasquez is a queer Afro-Latinx cisgender woman of Mexican-American and Panamanian parents whose roots in Northwest Pasadena and Altadena date back to the mid-1970s. For Nicole, it felt like a homecoming. Therefore, when she and her wife were able to buy a home in Altadena in 2017, and just like all of you, their hearts broke when we lost practically our entire community last January. With dual master's degree in social welfare and public policy from UCLA, Nicole's work and life are centered through a critical race lens. As My Tribe Rises program coordinator, she draws on every aspect of her professional and lived experience to support the organization to ensure that racial justice is at the center in building back Altadena. She is a co-author in the forthcoming textbook, Race, Power, and Practice, a critical race framework for social work, and approaches all aspects of her life through love, humility, and as a learner, Nicole, you definitely embrace the entire idea of bringing marginalized communities together to stand up side by side. So thank you for being here and for being an incredible asset to Altadena. Reggie? Thank you. Yvette, I would love to turn to you to give a reflection on Juneteenth, please.
I would love to. Thank you. So Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, it celebrates the end of slavery in the United States, which was June 19, 1865. Next one. What is Juneteenth? On June 19, 1865, the last enslaved people in the United States learned they were free. About 2.5 years after Emancipation Proclamation, it is also considered the second Independence Day honoring freedom, resilience, and a new horizon for Black Americans. How freedom finally arrived. January 1st, 1863, Emancipation Proclamation. Lincoln declared enslaved people in the Confederate States free, but it cannot yet be enforced everywhere. June 19, 1865, freedom reaches Galveston. Major General Gordon Granger issued General Order Number 3 in Texas. All enslaved people are free. 1866, the first celebration. Newly freed Texans hold the first Juneteenth gathering, prayer, music, food, and remembrance. 2021, a federal holiday, Juneteenth, becomes the newest federal holiday, the first added in nearly 40 years. The Juneteenth flag, the official flag of Juneteenth holiday designed by Ben Heath in 1997, finalized in 2000 with the date added in 2007. The White Star stands for Texas, the Lone Star State, and the freedom of Black Americans across the 50 states. The bursting nova, the burst around the star, is a new star rising, a fresh beginning for Black Americans. The arching horizon, the curves, splitting the flag is a new horizon, the opportunities and promise that lies ahead. Red, white, and blue, the American colors says plainly, The former enslaved and their descendants are Americans. The official colors: blue, the sky above; white, the stars; red, the ground below. The flag was designed in 1977 by Ben Head, the Boston Band of the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation, and brought to life by illustrator Lisa Jean Graff. The colors echo the American flag, a reminder that the formerly enslaved and their descendants were and are Americans. How we celebrate: red foods and drinks take center stage. The colors honor resilience and the blood of the ancestors, and good food and good music and community, such as red velvet cake and strawberry soda, watermelon and red fruit, music and dance, cookouts and barbecue, reading the order aloud, parades and festival, family and community, and most of all, learning our history. Juneteenth in Altadena. Our community carries a proud legacy of Black families, faith, and neighborhoods and roots. The flag promise of a new horizon speaks to who we are, honoring how far we have come, celebrating together and building what comes next. So as I live and breathe and stand here today before you, I am the descendants of American enslaved Africans who were kidnapped from their homeland, shackled, chained, stripped of their dignity, and packed into ships like sardines for a brutal journey across the Atlantic Ocean that often lasted 2 months or more. Upon arriving in America, families were torn apart. Children as young as 2 were separated from their parents. Enslaved men and women and children endured rape, brutal beatings, lynching, and medical experimentation. Yet, I stand before you today as a licensed healthcare professional in the state of California, certified to inspect healthcare facilities that receive funding from the United States government. I stand here today with my family intact and as an elected official representing this beautiful community of Altadena. My presence here today is beyond what my ancestors could have imagined. Their resilience, their sacrifice, their faith and determination made my journey possible. And on this Juneteenth, we honor those who endured, those who resisted, and those who never gave up for freedom. May we continue their legacy by striving for justice and equality. And yes, I am my ancestors' wildest dream. And happy Juneteenth, everyone.
Thank you, Vi. Thank you. We'll move on to the Vice Chair's report.
Thank you. I 2 things want to say. Number 1, thank you for those who showed up tonight. This is democracy in action. We appreciate you being here and hearing your voices. We value what you have to say. Yes, please clap it. Number 2, for those watching online, if there's anyone out in the parking lot that is taking down the names of those that are outside, please make sure that makes it back into our main lobby area. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the recording secretary, Sylvia Vega.
Council members, the May 2026 meeting minutes were distributed on Sunday, June 14th for review. As of now, I have not received any revisions. I'll open the floor to any final comments or changes. Hearing none, I move to approve the May 2026 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. We'll move on to the treasurer's report. Darlene
Good
Reed.
evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. Before I begin the treasurer's report, I would like to note that the Altadena Town Council is a volunteer organization, and we appreciate the continued support of residents and community partners who help make our outreach and communication efforts possible. Residents and supporters may contribute through Zelle at donations@altadenatowncouncil.org. At this time, I'm going to pass around the donation can for anyone who would like to support the work of the council. Now my report. The Altadena Town Council began the reporting period with an account balance of $4,486.27. During this period, the council received deposits totaling $3,047 through donations and Zelle contributions. Woohoo! Woohoo, right? So I am pleased to report that through participation in several community events, outreach activities, and partners that donated to us, we are doing excellent in our treasury account. We had expenditures for $200 for Google-related services and expenses. The current account balance is $7,261.39. I'm glad to report that. So thank you so much to everyone who continues to support the council. Sometimes we don't always get to tell you that, but we're so appreciative of what you do, and coming out tonight is an example of that. That ends the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Councilmember Green. If you're not familiar with the council, that is, I believe, a record. I don't know, we go back about 50 years, but especially in this time, that's really heartening and will be well spent. Let's move on to the corresponding secretary's report. Councilmember Yu.
In the interest of time and making sure that we get to as much public comment as possible, I will defer my report.
Oh, you're my hero. Okay. We do have the senator coming, but is a little late. Miles and Director Soraya, we're going to do public safety reports. If that's all right with the council, any objections? I'll move on to, from the Altadena Sheriff's Station, Captain Marquez, or is Dustin here? Okay. They may be outside. Let's move on to the California Highway Patrol, 4.2 Officer Keller. Oh, it's Officer Bay. Okay. Who's watching the babies?
All right, I'll keep this brief. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Officer Brian Bay with the California Highway Patrol out of the Altadena area office. I'll be giving the safety report. For the month of May, the CHP out of Altadena investigated a total of 13 traffic crashes. Out of those 13, 5 were injury related, 7 were just property damage only, and 1 was investigated for driving under the influence. The CHP hosted a maximum enforcement period. We looked for safety seats, so anyone not belted, child safety seats, stuff like that. We issued a total of 40 infractions, as well as some verbal warnings as well. That concludes that. I will like to say this is my last safety report. I will be up in headquarters in Sacramento. So thank you for everyone's continued support. This community just has so much resiliency that it really strikes a chord inside me. So thank you for always bearing with my safety reports, seeing me in the unincorporated areas of Altadena. The primary mission of the California Patrol is to provide the highest level of safety, services, and security. So hopefully I help do that. I help facilitate that in our community.
Thank you, Officer Bay. Don't go anywhere. Council members, I'll take any questions, but before I do, there are past council chair and council members in this room, all of which I know will say, while I don't usually applaud anyone who tickets me from time to time, you have shown up, you and Keller have shown up time after time. You've been dedicated to this community. When the other chairs and the other council makeups have asked for more speed, whatever
Regulars?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know we've asked for them a lot. You've always adjusted for us. You've listened to the community when they funneled through us to ask you for those type of things. So we thank you. We hope somebody's stopping those trucks going down the streets now, but we'll miss you dearly.
Thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
being here. Council, are there any questions?
How
Councilmember
long
Naga.
have you served our community, Officer Bay?
I have been a part of the Highway Patrol for 6 years, and I served our lovely community here for four of those years. So,
Councilmember
I
Carmody.
just wanted to say I'm going to miss the bow tie. That's it.
you still have officers?
And you too, of course.
Yes.
Councilmember Yu. Oh, sorry, Councilmember Wong.
Wong, yes, hello. I also would love to thank you for taking care of the youth on the different Bike to School Day events, walking to school, and being part of our first ever Bike to School Day event. And yeah, there's pictures that I look back at, and so thank you so much. Many smiling faces.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be a part of the community.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? Well, Officer Bay, we will miss you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
We're going to step back to the Altadena Sheriff's Station. Captain Marquez.
to see a packed house. The report's pretty simple. I do have to mention that Assistant Fire Chief Springle is going to be delayed a little bit. I was just notified before I came in. One of the major things I'd like to address to the town council is that we're still seeing a lot of people sending us emails or posting crimes that have occurred or perceived crimes that have occurred on social media. And that's really not the forum to do so. We really want to encourage everybody to call the sheriff's station if you have a crime or you believe is a crime or you have some kind of issue that's going to require us to come. The emails is not monitored 24/7. It may come to me, it may come to somebody else at the station, but I won't get it, at 5, 6 o'clock at night sometimes. So either if you believe there's a crime, like an emergency, call 911 or call 626-798-1131. That's our business line. I'll repeat it again, 626-798-1131. As far as the crimes are concerned, we've been fairly successful at keeping the crime rate low. We do have, as you know, approximately 1,600 homes being built right now. We've been fairly successful with our home check program about sending deputies out there. One of the major concerns we've had recently is catalytic converter thefts on vehicles. And also, for some reason, we had a bout of people stealing mirrors off of cars. Don't know why. The detectives are kind of, we're communicating with a bunch of different law enforcement agencies. Have you seen something like this happen? We don't know why, if there was some kind of insurance thing going on where maybe those things are valued quite high, just like catalytic converters are. But that was really the anomaly that we saw in our vehicle thefts that you saw in your stats. But otherwise, we're actually continue to be at record lows in terms of all of our crime. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. We did receive the crime stats. Thank you for that. All right, and any questions from the council? I appreciate you having a meeting with us recently to update us on different things. So I'm suspecting they got all their questions answered recently. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, we are going to wait on the LA County Fire Report. Council, I'm going to continue moving forward. We will come back to the fire and back to our special presentation. Bless you. And let's go on to general public comment. Councilmember Yu, can you describe that there's 3 different comment categories and which one we'll be doing now?
On our agenda, there are 3 different public comment opportunities. 2 of them are offered after our presentations, and 1 is just general public comment. And when we've received your cards, we've categorized them in one of these categories. And so this is for general public comment. I would like to first call, Clarence, Martin, Nina, and Gary.
Yep.
Chair has asked for all of them to come up at the same time.
Could you line up, please? Thank you. Just in the interest of time.
Okay, and we'll start with,
Gary and Nina.
yeah. We'll start with Gary, and then Nina, and then Clarence.
That's good. Thank you. Good evening, Council, and thank you for the opportunity to address you. My name is Gary Bryant. I'm a 40-year resident of Altadena. My home was also destroyed by the Eaton fire. I am a director of the Las Flores Water Company for over 25 years. In addition, I'm the elected director for Foothill Municipal Water District, the wholesaler, Division 1, since 2011. Foothill is a wholesaler of water to the 3 water mutual companies in Altadena. I want to thank Assemblyman Harbedian and State Senator Perez for their tireless efforts on behalf of Altadena. Senator Perez was able to, through an earmark, get $4 million to the Las Flores Water Company via the Foothill Municipal Water District, as the mutuals are private water companies. And they're continuing to fight on our behalf. There is a study that is underway by an engineering company on the consolidation of the 3 water agencies in Altadena, which would be the Lincoln Avenue Water Company, the Rubio Canyon Water Company, and Las Flores. I understand the history of mutuals, which when they were created were to address small communities like Altadena. Today, Altadena is not a small community, and I believe it is important for us to really think about the consolidation of these water companies. I want to encourage you as shareholders and owners of the water company to attend the meetings and voice your concerns. I have with me the general manager of Foothill Municipal Water District, Nina Jasmadirian, who after 23 years? Almost 20 years has been the general manager and is indeed the dean of general managers of the
We thank you for your time and appreciate
sorry.
it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll-
Public comments are only 2 minutes. Thank you so much, and I know this is important information. If you have anything you want to relay, we'll be happy to post on social media. Thank you.
Oh, and I do want to say that our timer only has a 1-minute beeper, so you'll see a 1 minute twice.
Here. Good evening, everyone. My name's Nina Jasmadirian. I'm the general manager at Foothill Municipal Water District. First thing I want to do is thank the Assembly member and Senator Perez for all the support they've provided to the water agencies. Also at the federal level, Representative Chu, Senator Padilla, and Senator Schiff have been very supportive as well. The other thing I wanted to do, since everyone's hopefully starting to do the rebuild at this point, is remind you of the rebates that you can receive for turf, a replacement, design of your landscape. That's a $1,000 rebate right there. And other things that you can get rebates on. So if you go to bewaterwise.com and look there, and also fmwd.com, you can find that rebate information, and hopefully it'll help you. Thank you.
Thank you. Clarence Martin?
Yes.
And after Clarence, Gwen Sakina will be our last public comment.
I'm a resident of Altadena, have been since 1971. We first moved up here and we could not leave. One of the things that I'm going to advocate for is the reissuing or the restarting of old-fashioned days. That was always a great thing, and I think we need to do that again. I've had fairly good luck, better than a lot of other people, of sending letters to Catherine Barger and getting responses from her staff. I know that everybody has not had that problem or that success. So I encourage all of you to keep on calling, keep on writing, and keep on being active on getting these people to get started. One other thing I'd like to do is I'd like to see the LA County District Attorney start investigating these companies that are coming into our area and doing these multiple properties on one or multiple buildings on one property. That's something that needs to be done. Unfortunately, we've run into a society here where taking advantage of rules that don't really exist or have loopholes in them, these people are taking advantage of it, and they've been doing this since the fire. That's it. Thank you.
Oh, Gwen, sorry, one question for you. Is this regarding the Senate bills? Okay, we will wait for you. Yeah, we'll add you to the right pile. Thank you. That concludes general public comment.
Thank you, council member. All right, we're going to keep moving on and back up when it's time. I'm going to move on to the special presentation from SCE. Spencer, that means we're going to probably have about a 15-minute presentation, if you can let the senator know. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. It looks like I've got who I need to move forward. Thank you for your patience, David. Ignore that. Hello, Senator. I'm going to turn it over to you, Senator. We're at a little technical difficulty, but I think we've corrected it, and I'm going to aim you toward the screen. So I'm going to open my video. You'll see me. How are you? And then when we're finished, I'm going to turn you to the group here in the room. Let me know if you can see your slide.
Excellent. I just want to make sure that you all can hear me.
Go ahead again.
Can you hear me? Is the sound working okay?
Yep, you're now in the room.
Okay, excellent. Alrighty, well, thank you so much. Appreciate everyone that's participating today. I want to do just a legislative overview of SB 1090, a bill that we've recently gotten and amended in order to address some of the concerns that I know the community has raised to us. And then happy to answer some questions after from folks, especially those on the town council. So let's go ahead and get to the next slide. So first and foremost, just want to speak to some of the emergency provisions that occurred immediately after the Eaton and Palisades fire. So first of all, SB 9 and SB 1123 do not contain safeguards tailored to communities recovering from major disasters, right? These were bills that were designed for urban infill. Urban infill means for communities that are already built out in order to create more housing density. I'm sure as many of you recognize, we're in the middle of a housing crisis. And so because of that, the state has passed many pieces of legislation to try to encourage new housing to be built. And so these laws were not laws that were intended for the rebuilding of a community that's been impacted by a natural disaster. Now, Governor Newsom last year passed an executive order, and this was an executive order that provided exemptions from SB 9 as well as SB 1123 to particularly areas that were in high fire severity zones. Now, it might come as a surprise to all of you that Altadena is not in a high fire severity zone. Only very slim parts of it, the parts that are right up against the foothill areas of Altadena. And so those parts of Altadena were included. All of the Pacific Palisades, Malibu, Sunset Mesa, those areas were included in the governor's executive order, but most of Altadena was left out of these exemptions. And so because of that, and we have been trying to work with the governor's office to request that he extend these protections to the Altadena community by, instead of applying it to high fire severity zones, using zip code to apply these protections. And he has not moved forward with that. That is why we've introduced this piece of legislation. Now, the concern that I've heard from community members and what we're trying to respond to here is really kind of two interactions that we've seen happening in Altadena. One is that we've seen a number of corporate investors, particularly LLCs that are out from outside of the community, trying to come in and purchase lots. We know that there's been issues with lowball offers being made to fire survivors, and really, come in and utilize these laws to densify the community. They've heard these terms used before in other places such as Hawaii, this idea behind disaster capitalism, and really outside investors trying to take advantage of communities that are going through the rebuild process. And so we've introduced SB 1090 to try to address that exact situation. Can you move on to the next slide? So without SB SB 1090, and without us doing anything, if we were to continue to kind of not respond to the situation, the scenario that we're most concerned about is that we'll continue to see the proposals of these projects. SB 9 allows for lot splits. SB 1123 allows for lot splits up to 10 units. And so in some cases, we have seen lot splits be proposed, taking a single family lot and wanting to split it into 10. This is obviously a significant change for Altadena's community, which is why we've introduced this. As I mentioned before, SB 9 applications, were presented solely as ADU projects, excluding lot split proposals, but that was to avoid the legislation's owner occupancy requirements. So there are requirements built into this bill that say if you're going to do a lot split, you actually have to live on the property. You cannot be an investor and try to flip the lot. And so that was something that was originally built into the bill, but we see folks trying to work around that. SB 1123 is also another bill that included language that states that in order to use SB 1123, that the area around it needs to be built out. That's obviously not the case for a majority of Altadena that's going through the rebuild process. There's significant portions of the community where we have entire blocks that have been damaged and burnt down. So there's also some policy questions in terms of whether or not folks can be utilizing these laws to rebuild. Can we go to the next slide, please? And so I want to talk a little bit about what SB 1090 does. So SB 1090 would provide an exemption from both SB 9 and SB 1123 being applied in the Altadena area. And it would provide that exemption based off of the zip code to make sure that it applies to the entire Altadena community. As you all know, SAGE did a report last year that was evaluating property purchase trends. We found that investors have purchased close to 49% of properties that have been sold between February and July of 2025. This is obviously old data, compared to approximately 10% during that same period in 2024. And I think that this really points to the issue that we're speaking to. It's part of the reason that we're moving the bill forward. This is also some of the data that we're utilizing to talk with some of our colleagues here in the legislature as we move this forward. Now, the exemption would apply for up to 5 years from the point of when the fire happened. I know some of you have reached out to my office about this because up to 5 years from the point of the fire means 3 years from now. And I know that there's some folks that have requested whether or not that time period can be extended. These are all things that we need to figure out through the process of moving this bill forward. There are also other folks that have talked with me about including urgency language. And certainly we have other bills that we're moving forward, some bills in the insurance space, for example, to hold insurance companies accountable. We are moving urgency language into some of those pieces of legislation because we've been able to earn enough support to move urgency language into them. Urgency language means that we need a 2/3 vote on the Assembly floor and the Senate floor. And so now that we've introduced this policy, part of my job up here in the legislature is to earn the votes and the support to try to move this bill forward. I also want to be clear because I know we've received some questions, both people who want to build ADUs and people who want to build JADUs and people who do not want ADUs built and who not do. This bill does not impact your ability to be able to build an ADU or a JADU. It is not what this bill is about. We are trying to limit lot splits and limit the ability for intense density to be created in single family lots. And so we're trying to be very intentional here because we know that there are families that are going through the rebuild process that want to build an ADU, that want to add a JADU for family members, for their neighbors that are going through the rebuild process. There was a lot of that kind of naturally occurring affordable housing that existed in Altadena prior to the fires happening. And we want to make sure that folks are able to do that they are able to go through that process and build that. But these lot splits that are allowing for folks to build up to 10 units on a single family lot, I think we can all agree that that is pretty concerning and would cause a significant change to the Altadena community. I also want to highlight that this bill is being sponsored Senator Catherine Barger, as well as co-authored by Assemblymember John Harabadian. I appreciate the Altadena groups, Altadena Recovery Watch, coming on board and supporting this. You know, we're going to need a lot of support as we move this forward. This is not going to be an easy piece of legislation, but I think you all have made it very clear as a community that you really would like to see something done here. And in addition to that, as I've been reiterating to everyone, we need to make sure that this process is fair. The fact that Altadena was not included in the original executive order that was signed by the governor last year, and that the governor has refused to include Altadena in an updated executive order is an issue. And frankly, it's one that I want to see get resolved. That is it for my presentation. I'll go ahead and take a pause. I'm happy to take questions and comments. You can go from there.
Thank you, Senator Perez. I'm going to face you toward our audience so you have a better view than me. I kind of jumped the gun because I was so excited, even though it's kind of shoddy little tech we've got going here. I was excited to see the senator, and I skipped right over my little intro, and then we were going to turn to Director Anish Soraya. I just wanted to, I'll skip most of this, but I did want to point out what a great model of unity and collaboration they are giving us. Their work together tonight, these three offices. When I reached out pretty desperate about a month ago, I think you all heard in my voice immediately that this council was hearing from the community, and it wasn't my voice, it was these 16 people and all of these people and the 300 outside and so many more, and you responded, and we appreciate that. I hope that we can model that same unity moving forward. And a note of clarity to everybody in the room, including my council members. Tonight is a formal introduction and presentation only. The council is aware our goal tonight is to put out there what has been happening over the past weeks and what that has led to. I have asked the council to limit our questions tonight as this is just introductory, but I do encourage council members and the community to keep asking questions for clarity, expressing concern, and eventually answering a call to action if you feel so inclined and want to see the legislation move forward. After tonight, the council will discuss our position on it in the days ahead. And when the presentation and a brief question and answer period by council members is done, we will move on to public comment, and I will highlight how to best move forward with getting your voices heard. With that, I would love to bring up Director of Altadena Recovery, Anish Soraya.
And while the director is coming up, thank you. Yep. Any questions that will be taken from the presenters will be from the council only. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you to the Town Council for inviting us to speak. Thank you to Senator Perez for being here and being the champion for our community. So just to provide a little context, obviously the supervisor in the county are your land use authority. All of the projects that come into Altadena come through the County Department of Regional Planning. So to piggyback on a point that the senator made, we've heard a lot of questions about SB 9, and I want to take these two things separately. SB 9 obviously is the ADU lot split law, and the governor's executive order was introduced last year, and it allowed local governments to regulate SB 9 only in the very high fire hazard severity zones in the 2 fire impacted areas. In the Palisades, all of the Palisades is in the very high. Therefore, it covers the entirety of the community. In Altadena, surprisingly, and this is not my definition or the county's definition, a very small portion of Altadena is technically within the very high fire hazard severity zones. So within those areas where we the county were legally allowed to regulate SB 9, the supervisor directed the director of regional planning to restrict the use of SB 9 lot splits and ADUs. So that's where we stand today on SB 9. But that leaves the majority of our community without those same protections. And that's why the senator's legislation is so critical, because it is now going to extend it to cover the entirety of our community. With respect to SB 9, I'm sure you guys have all seen, and we have about 450 plus emails in our inboxes and dozens of calls to tell us, you guys have seen some of the developer-driven projects that have come through. 411 Punahou, 2284 Norwick, and I could probably rattle off a few more. But these are the projects that really show us and indicate to us these are not folks that are interested in being part of our community. They're interested in making a profit off of our community. And so, as a civil engineer myself, some of these designs offend me personally and professionally, and unfortunately, the state law does not take into consideration the opinion of our office, of the county supervisor, and so these projects have been able to move forward. That's why it's critical that this legislation move forward. The partnership with Senator Perez's office has been tremendous. Nick and I have had this conversation about SB 9 multiple times. I've heard from dozens of you in the room, and a few people outside even stopped us to talk about it. I know the supervisor, she's in the community every weekend, and she keeps looking at me and saying, we're working on this, right? And absolutely. This is a huge priority for her. That is why she has sponsored this legislation. And I want to echo what Nick said, right? This is about partnership. This is about collaboration. This is all levels of government working together to make sure we uplift the voice of the community, right? This is our role to support you. And we're here to advocate for you and champion what you are asking of us. And so if I could just really quickly dive into SB 1123, the senator is 100% correct. Supervisor Barger asked the Department of Regional Planning to get clarification from the state, right? We needed to understand whether SB 1123, which allows for vacant lots substantially surrounded by urban uses, if those would be eligible if they were all vacant lots surrounding them. The state very clearly told our departments, no, they're not eligible. So all of the SB 1123 projects that have been submitted to date to the county have been voided. So they are off the books. And for the supervisor, she's always says, she will never turn and say that a problem is no longer hers. And really her message and her drive to all of us on her team is we have to work together with our partners to find solutions. And so as much as those applications have been voided, ultimately there will come a time when they will potentially be eligible under SB 1123 because we have more than 1,600 homes currently in construction. I think 1,000. Altadena's recovery is going to move, and we're here to support it. But that means that there will be a gap relative to SB 1123. And again, to the senator's credit, she's been able to bring us legislation that is going to give us that breathing room we need to address that timeline where that process is going to come to fruition. And so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of understanding of what we are doing at the county level, but really, really, really want to thank our partners, both Senator Perez and Assemblymember Harabedian, because without their support and their leadership on this issue, we wouldn't have a solution in front of us. And all I'll say is really appreciate everybody's time here, and the commitment can be seen outside this door. I've come to this community center many, many times in my 20-year career with the county. I've never seen the line this long. And I hope it's an indication, and I hope this is an indication, and we have our partners from the media here to really capture that this community is incredibly passionate, is incredibly motivated to protect and ensure that there's no further displacement. And I hope we can capture that spirit and help get this legislation across the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Soraya. From the office of Assemblymember Harabedian, Miles Keating.
There we go. Good evening. Can everyone hear me? If you can't hear me for whatever reason, please let me know and I'll be sure to speak up. My name is Miles Keeling. That's Kealing for the record. Field representative for Assemblymember John Harabedian. I want to thank the Senator Perez, for moving this initiative forward. I want to thank the county, Supervisor Barger and Anish for being here supporting this initiative. Also want to thank the town council for having me here tonight and everyone in attendance in the room, outside, on Zoom for all of the calls and emails and advocacy you've done on behalf of our community regarding these proposed SB 9 and SB 1123 projects. Assemblymember Harbedian has been aware of and looking into the matter of SB 9 projects and SB 1123 projects since community concerns first arose. And after much research and deliberation, including conversations with Governor Newsom, it was determined that SB 1090 was the best path forward, and Assemblymember Harbedian is a proud principal co-author on this initiative. As Senator Perez mentioned, SB 1090 creates a protection on proposed projects in Altadena through January 1st, 2030. And Assemblymember Harbedian is really proud to say that this is a pro-housing bill because it ensures that construction in Altadena prioritizes the families and people that are trying to return and not the developers who are trying to maximize their profits. I won't belabor the point. I think Senator Perez and Anish have said it very eloquently, but I just want to again thank Senator, Supervisor Barger, the entire Los Angeles County 5th District team on their work for communicating with us and our Altadena neighbors. And Assemblymember Harbedian is proud to support this bill and looking forward to getting it moved through the legislature. Thank you.
Thank you, Miles Keeling. My apologies. We're going to move on to council member questions in a moment. You are more than welcome to continue expressing your concerns to these officials and their offices and to your council members. But please believe me when I tell you that over the past 2 months and even over the past year, some of you have kept your eyes on this. I think it's been at least 3 weeks that I've heard a unique question. So we appreciate and we need all of that input, but definitely we're trying to funnel the information in a way that will help us be most efficient. My suggestions are, if you're comfortable with this, you can still reach out directly to us and their offices, but if you're comfortable with it, my suggestions are there's 2 entities in particular that have been great about compiling this info. One is the ATC Legislative Committee, chaired by Darlene Green, doing incredible work. If you want to reach out, thank you, Darlene. If you want to reach out on the ATC website, Darlene will take those, we'll categorize them, do the hard work. Sorry if I'm putting that on you, Darlene, but I know you and I know you will. The other group is at the EFC, there is the Advocacy Committee. They're doing incredible work as well. I know often working with your offices, and they will do the same. To send them to them, I'm going to give you an email, and you can watch the recording and get it back. V. Carrasco, it's spelled VCARRASCO at chirla.org. That's CHIRLA.org. Vlad has been doing amazing work with his team. Again, V. Carrasco, VCARRASCO at chirla.org. You're welcome to do it any way you like, but that would probably help us all out. We appreciate all of your presence and patience. My apologies to those outside. We're kind of stuck with the space that we are normally in. So in the future, we'll consider definitely a larger space for meetings like these. But the idea was tonight is presentation only. So there is no Q&A with you. So you want to have that happen, and we plan to have that happen. Darlene and I are talking about less than a town hall, but more of a gathering to make sure our voices are heard together, and that we also have a call to action. What can we do to move this forward, to unite us in our disagreements or our agreement on this legislation, talk it out, move it forward, and help these offices make it a reality. We appreciate that tonight. Please know we'll pass along your thoughts. We're looking forward to that town meeting in the next week or so, because this is moving swiftly. So I'm going to move on to council member questions. Go ahead, Vice Chair Morona.
Okay, not sure who to address it to, but SB 1090 does not apply to applications submitted before January 1st, 2027, given that multiple SB 1123 projects have already been proposed in Altadena and others. Will you amend the bill that it applies to all projects that have not yet received final approval?
Senator, are you hearing us all right?
Yeah, I can hear pretty well. But I think I grasped her question, which is about basically applying the bill retroactively to projects that have been introduced prior to the bill's effective date. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to also be really clear here in terms of expectations and what we can and can't do, right? This is this interaction between local and state government. I used to serve as a mayor in a local city, so very familiar with this. The state to approve or deny projects. And what the state also is limited in doing is our ability to be able to apply a law retroactively. That is unconstitutional and would have the law be struck down. And so trying to apply a bill to a project that is potentially already either in the process of being built or in that approval process, depending on where it's at in the process, would not be possible. And so the most ideal situation, in order to make sure that this bill goes into effect in a timely manner, would be to get urgency language into this bill. So anything that occurs before this bill's effective date is going to be considered a legitimate project. And so I do want to be transparent about that. There is not, we've had these conversations before about some of the other legislation that we've introduced, and I've had to kind of explore these issues as well. But retroactivity is something that will get a bill struck down in court.
Thank you. The second part of that has to do with the 2030 sunset provision. The policy and justification for ending these protections in 2030, and would you consider extending or removing the sunset provision?
You know, we're happy to have conversations about that. It's just a matter of me being able to get enough support and enough votes to move that policy forward, right? The longer that we extend out that sunset date, the more resistance that it's likely that we're going to face from groups that are in opposition to this bill and from legislators who frankly are already asking me questions and raising concerns. So it's really critical and important that we communicate to the other members of the legislature that this is a very district-specific bill, that this is something that Altadena wants, and that there's a lot of support behind it from the community. We chose 5 years because typically the rebuild process takes a minimum of 6 years. You're typically looking at 6 to 8 years. And so we went with 5 years. It was an even number to start moving the ball forward, but it's something that we can certainly look at amending. We just need to make sure that we have the support in order to make those amendments.
Director, did you want to add anything to that? You're good. Okay. One last question I have, and then we can open it up. The disaster recovery protections and equal treatment. Following major disasters, governments often adopt special protections to prevent speculative development and give residents a meaningful opportunity. Why should Altadena be subject to SB 9 and SB 1123 lot splitting and high density development during disaster recovery when similar protections have been provided or considered in other recovery areas? You sort of answered this, but I think maybe a broader explanation of that would be wise.
Senator, I'll go ahead and, just because we have covered this one, Anish and I have talked in depth about this. We just want to be absolutely clear, everyone, if you didn't hear it before, the idea is that we were not included, I think you all heard this, because a huge section. It wasn't because the county chose not to, it's because the county could not. And I think that answers that question. Vice Chair, go on.
SB 1123 allows significantly increased density on formerly single-family lots, yet Altadena is still recovering from a major wildfire and faces ongoing concerns regarding water supply, fire flow, evacuation routes, traffic, and utility capacity. What infrastructure analysis has been conducted to determine that these developments can safely proceed? And would you support requiring infrastructure capacity findings before SB 1123 projects are approved in disaster recovery areas?
Senator, we have Anish up to the podium. Anish, did you want to cover that one?
I can't speak to the analysis that may have been done when SB 1123 was approved by the legislature. The reality is that at a local level, the county cannot require such infrastructure analysis. All these projects, when they become eligible, are ministerial in nature. So the county cannot require them to do a study of, water access, yes, but sewer study capacity, electrical capacity. So we cannot apply a local requirement to do that analysis and upgrade of local infrastructure through a ministerial process. Usually when we have subdivisions of land require what we call a discretionary process. In a discretionary process, the local jurisdiction has the authority legally to compel a developer or a builder to come in, do appropriate studies. And in this instance, because this bill allows for ministerial approval, that is an authority that the county does not have.
Thank you, Director. Senator, did you want to add anything to that?
Before they do, I will need any comments from the audience. We need to keep decorum. So we're meant to listen tonight. We're going to have some public comment coming up, but I do appreciate your passion. Go ahead.
Just to add to that, Senator, do you have anything on that question that you would like to add?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. SB 1123 was a bill that was voted on several years ago before I got here to the legislature. And so, you know, in terms of this process, this assessment that you're talking about, in terms of like impact on resources, utilities, that is not something that I understand that's been built into this bill. I don't know what happened during the discussions or negotiations around this. If I remember correctly, I think this was a bill that was voted in maybe 3 or 4 years ago, which was before my time here. This is part of the reason why we're working on this exemption, particularly for this bill, both SB 1123 and SB 9. Ministerial approval, which Anish was referring to earlier, basically means that the project is essentially what we call by right. It means that they circumvent the planning commission process, and they are able to, as long as they meet the kind of requirements within the legislation, is to get the project signed off on. If we secure this exemption and we get this bill signed into law by the governor, what it'll allow is for the planning commission to review and assess these projects. It'll allow for community feedback, and basically remove that kind of ministerial approval that's been built into both pieces of these legislation.
Senator, is there anywhere that if the public wants to read any of these bills or the proposed bill, where do you recommend that maybe everyday language is available so that they can find the bill and read through it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you would want to go to leginfo.com. That is the best place to kind of read our legislation. You can see any bill there that's been introduced by the legislature in the past and the present. And you'll be able to not just see the legislation as it currently looks, as it's been built into statute, but you'll also be able to see the amendments process that every committee goes through. So you can see all of the red lines and the work that goes into the bill, as well as votes and everything else. And if anybody has questions about the legislation or, you know, needs the link or is kind of looking for further materials, my office is always happy to send those things over as well.
Thank you, Senator. We'll move on to council member questions. Councilmember Maramas and then Councilmember Vega.
I think this is probably a question for Director Soraya. So for SB 9 projects that are in the pipeline at the moment, but maybe don't have vested rights or they're just being, you know, proposed, we obviously have SB 1090 that's in process. Is there any, I guess, county policy as to how those are being dealt with pending the legislation, to the extent they don't have vested rights already?
I will have to confer with our Director of Regional Planning, but my understanding is because SB 9 is still eligible in Altadena, the county has to process them in accordance with the state law. So between the SB 9 regulations as they exist today and the Permitted Streamlining Act and other housing-related legislation, the county is still required to continue to process those applications under the requirements of the state in terms of, you know, number of days in which you have to provide responses. And so I would assume that the county will continue to follow the law and legally process them as required until such time as we're able to get this legislation through, and then ultimately we can then evaluate how those applications should be treated.
Senator, did you want to add anything?
I will just add, and I know folks have asked me these same questions as well about kind of the powers that local government has, especially as these laws pass. And whether it's SB 9, SB 1123, the Housing Accountability Act, there's a lot of different laws that have been passed that have really limited local government's authority to be able to weigh into these projects. What happens if a local government denies a project that is supposed to be ministerial or by right, or violates the state's housing laws, is that you enter into a lawsuit, potentially with the developer if they choose to sue. And I, as somebody that's served in local government, have experienced that. Our city has entered into lawsuits with other developers. Sometimes we have won, sometimes cities have lost. And when you lose those battles, it means that not only does the city lose money, but that the project also gets to be built as well. And so it is a legally risky route. And, it's certainly battles that we see happen all the time in local governments. But just so you could kind of understand like how that process works and what that looks like.
Thank you, Senator. I'm turning to Councilmember Vega.
What was the web address to see the bills for the community? I didn't hear that.
Oh, ledge.info.com.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Anderson, and then Councilmember Stewart Gordon. Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Senator, for the clarification with regards to retroactivity and things like that. I guess my question to you is, so once the bill passes, where's the line for the projects that have been submitted? Is it at the time of submittal? Is it at the time of approval? So where does it sort of kick in? Because if something's been submitted but not approved, it would be subject to the law. But do you follow what I'm saying? I'm trying to find out where the line is when once this bill passes. And I'm projecting by saying it'll pass.
Nick, can you help with repeating that question a little bit? It was something about where the line is and in terms of the...
Yeah, let me get clarification. Are you talking about when it begins, when it goes into...
So my question, just to clarify, my question is really about once this bill passes, for the projects that are sort of in the pipeline somewhere, where's the line? Are projects that have been submitted considered, grandfathered in, or is it projects that have been approved considered grandfathered in? Where does it kick in for these projects?
We've got this, Senator. Go ahead, Director.
Senator, if I might, that is always sort of, I hate to punt to lawyers, but that is a legal question we will need our county council to opine on, right? To your point, we have certain land use processes, vested rights that the senator referenced. Ultimately, all of these processes require that you cannot have retroactive application of new legislation and laws on an application that was submitted by a certain date. The application would have to be deemed complete. So from our perspective at the county level, we're obviously going to work with county council and then obviously with the senator and their legislative council to get greater granularity on that. But that's probably the best that I can answer that today.
Thank you.
I've got Councilmember Stewart Gordon and then Whirlage.
Hi, good evening, Senator. I just needed clarification. When you said that there was a sunset date for Altadena 2030, right? Now, is there a sunset date for the other recovery area, or are they totally exempt? And can you tell me what those cities are?
So you said there was a sunset date for 2030 in our bill, but was there a sunset date? You're asking if there's a sunset date for the Palisades, the executive order that was done for the city of Los Angeles. Is that correct?
That's correct.
If I remember correctly, is there a sunset date?
Senator.
Flexibility. Anish, I'm not sure if you know the answers to that question.
Senator, if I might, I think my understanding of the executive order that was issued by the governor, if I recall correctly, had a time horizon of until the emergency was lifted. But again, I think we'll have to we'll just have to look back at what the executive order said. We'd have to get the definitive language there to tell you when the protections would otherwise expire for the Palisades.
Thank you, Councilmember Worlidge.
Thank you. My question is, if this legislation moves forward, when could we expect to see it pass? And if it does pass, it doesn't take effect until January 2027, correct? And then it sunsets in 2030. So I'm not sure where the 5 years comes in. From the fire to January. Okay, I understand. So I wanted clarity on the timeline. And is there any reason why the law couldn't take effect immediately upon passage?
Senator, did you catch that?
It was going in and out a little bit. I heard the question about the 3 years versus the 5 years, and I heard you clarify that, and I didn't hear the end of his question.
The question is what would stop us from extending that, and what would stop us from getting retroactive?
Oh, no, what would stop it from taking effect immediately on passage?
Why January of 27 and not sooner after it's passed?
So, as I mentioned before, if we're to do urgency language, right? So urgency language in the state legislature means that the bill goes into effect upon the governor's signing. And so typically the governor signs bills sometimes in October, sometimes he'll sign legislation as soon as late September. And so there is the possibility, if we could get urgency language into the bill, for the bill to go into effect as soon as potentially the fall. The challenge that urgency language comes with is securing a 2/3 vote in both the Senate floor as well as the Assembly floor. And so it's a matter of me trying to secure support from my colleagues. And so we just crossed the language for this, I believe, last week on Thursday or Wednesday, on Thursday. And so now it is this process that I've already started talking with my colleagues of securing that support. And so we need to get enough votes and enough support from Assembly members in order to be able to work urgency language into the bill. We haven't gone through first committee yet, so this is all kind of a part of that process. I know many folks have reached out to us to ask about us working urgency language in. That's certainly, I always want to be able to do that if I can for my bills. It's just a higher threshold of votes that we must meet.
Thank you, Senator. Miles Keeling, are there any talking points or anything that we've kind of pushed forward that you wanted to add on anything that we've been asked for the Assembly member?
Not necessarily at this time. I will say that the bill is scheduled to be heard in Assembly Housing and Community Development Committee on June 24th. The other notes, I heard questions about the website to check legislation. That's leginfo, LEGINFO, period, legislature, LEGISLATURE, period, CA, period, GOV.
Thank you. Council members, are we moving forward? All right, Councilmember Anderson.
So, Senator, and I heard clearly the comment a couple of times about looking for additional votes, making sure you have sufficient votes, and making sure there's sufficient community support. So obviously, I think that at the risk of getting myself in trouble, I think there's a lot of support in Altadena for this. But if I'm hearing you correctly, maybe for those of us who have friends elsewhere in California and friends who are, who have people who care about Altadena, maybe we should encourage our friends to then talk to their representatives. I mean, at the risk of being really blunt, am I hearing you right?
Councilmember Anderson, we were moving on to that next. There will be a call to action, and the senator and assembly member and the county will help shape what that could look like and how to move forward. But we're going to have some incredible ideas from our community about how to make it happen, and we'll keep leaning into the electeds to make sure we're doing it in the way that they believe from their years of experience that we can make that happen. Senator, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, look, the more support that we can get from you all, the better, right? I will tell you, just so you can get a sense of the reactions that I've heard, just initial conversations with my colleagues, is by me introducing this bill, am I limiting, am I hurting the rebuild process, right? Is this something that Altadena residents even want? And so I have to make clear to them that you all have made it very clear that this is legislation that you want this exemption, and showing them that Altadena was not included in the executive order that the governor brought forward, that Altadena is still not considered a high fire severity zone, despite the fact that we experienced the Eaton fire and that so much of the community is still going through the recovery process. And so that information is helpful, right? These are legislators that are located all across the state of California. They're not familiar with the Altadena community, and they're trying to figure out what is right to do for this area. And what I want them to understand is that this is a district-specific bill, and this is addressing the community needs. So you all reaching out as individuals to their office to let them know that you're supportive is certainly helpful. If you have friends in other parts of the state, that's certainly helpful as well. All of those things are really, really crucial so that people understand that this is not just, oftentimes you hear the term NIMBY being thrown around. This is not some sort of NIMBY effort. This is something that has been community driven. We want to make sure that the recovery process is really centered in community, that you all get to build back Altadena and determine what its future looks like.
Thank you, council members, thank you. We're going to move on to public comment. Senator and Director and Mr. Keeling for the Assembly member. I just want to again express gratitude. We heard them and you heard us, and we will continue being vocal for everybody listening in. This is not the end of this conversation. We're going to continue talking. We're going to get together and we're going to figure this out, and we will again look for the cues of how to do that best on your behalf. We're ready to move on to public comment, please. But I will hold the senator up because I want everybody just, if you have any gratitude, show it right now.
Senator, I would note that there are at least 450 people combined that were out in the parking lot and here in the room. So just for your edification, thank you.
Councilmember Yu.
All right, if I call your name, please come to the podium. I'm also going to read off who's on deck. Let's start with Kenneth McFeeters. And then after Kenneth would be Vanessa Meyer, Ray Lemus, and Angie Uru. Also includes Scott.
In the interest of time, if your name has been called, if you can line up in that order, and then we'll continue calling names to get in that line.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth McFeeters. I'm here to ask a question. We have many different concerns in this room collectively. Density, we have homes, again, we discussed that before. Too many homes on a single family lot. We have setback issues. And I think we've allowed people to design what should be at the beach or in the mountains in our homes. So where and when did our planning department decide how our community was gonna look? I don't expect it to look like it did in the 40s and the 50s, don't misunderstand me. But I do expect it to have some type of uniformity. We have nothing here. I am sorry, if I offend anyone, I apologize. But we have homes that look like they should be at the beach, a 2-story, a 3-story, next to 2 or 3 single families, no uniformity. That does not set up a good community. We're a bedroom community, and I'm asking us to, if we can look at that and revisit that again. Okay? That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Vanessa, and up next is Ray Lemus.
Can you repeat that?
Hi, I'm Vanessa Meyer. I'm an 18-year resident of West Altadena, and I still feel like a newbie. With deference to the generational families and residents of Altadena, thank you for including me in your community. I love it here. This is the longest place I've ever lived, and I want to see Altadena come back to what we knew and loved before. We know it's not going to be the same, but we also know that it doesn't have to be that different. One thing that I want to point out specifically is that high-density housing is inappropriate for Altadena. We don't have the infrastructure for it. We were already having infrastructure issues before the fire. We all know this. I mean, if the wind blows the wrong way, the electricity goes out, okay? So with more housing in our community, there's more residents, there's more impact on our infrastructure, our streets, our safety, and also affecting the feeling of our community. I want to point to two specific examples. I grew up in Austin, Texas. It is a town that I no longer recognize because the developers got ahead of the city planners. Austin does not have the infrastructure to support that high-density housing, and every time it rains there, it floods. Watch the news. It's currently flooding right now. Also, when I 30 seconds. When I evacuated after the fire, I lived in Valley Village. And Valley Village and North Hollywood are both specific examples of the negative effects of high-density housing. And the whole time that I lived there, when it rained, everything was flooded. So it's damage to infrastructure, it's affecting community safety, and I just want these things to be considered.
Thank you. Next.
In Altadena's recovery. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you so much. Your time hasn't started. I do want to, we'll definitely give all of you your 2 minutes. We do have a full house and we do have other comments later. If any of you want to just take 1 minute, I'm certainly open to that. But I do appreciate, and you will get your 2 minutes if that's what you need.
Good evening, Senator Perez, Director Soraya, Assemblymember Harabedian, Miles Keeling, and council members and neighbors, of course. My name is Ray Lemus, and I am a 26-year resident of Altadena. My house was completely destroyed in the fire. Thank you for introducing SB 1090 and for recognizing that fire-impacted communities like ours need protection from speculative development while residents are still recovering from the Eden wildfire disaster. I support the intent of SB 1090, but I'm concerned that important loopholes remain that could determine its purpose. Some of these have been answered this evening, but they still remain my concerns. Based on my reading of the bill, SB 1090 would pause SB 9 and SB 1123, but it does not appear to address California's ADU laws. As a result, developers may still be able to achieve similar levels of density through attached and detached ADUs, even when SB 9 is unavailable. The proposed project on my street at 2284 Norwick Place illustrates this concern. This is not a lot split. The application proposes 2 new primary homes, 1 attached ADU and 2 detached ADUs, a total of 5 residential units where there was previously 1 home. Even without SB 9, a lot split, this project could significantly increase density on a narrow private dead-end street that already faces challenges related to parking, emergency access, evacuation, and post-fire recovery. I'm also concerned that projects filed before the bill takes effect could be grandfathered and allowed to proceed, as we discussed and answered just now. If that happens, many of these projects that have raised concerns in Altadena may continue despite passage of SB 1090. I respectfully ask that you strengthen the legislation by addressing ADU-related density loopholes and clarifying how pending application may be treated. Altadena residents need meaningful protections that cannot be easily bypassed.
Thank you for sharing. Next.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Angie, before you start, I want to bring up Nancy Robb, Neil Tyler, and Shannon Larsoe. Go ahead, Angie.
All right, good evening. My husband and I lost our home of 28 years on Punahou Street. So I'm the one that did the petition for 411 Punahou. And SB 9, I just want to, the senator hopefully has clarity. My understanding is you can go 2 ways, a lot split or not a lot split. You can do 5 units without splitting the lot, right? So I just want to make sure people understand that there's only been 1 lot split to my knowledge applied for. The other 49 plus maybe are not, because to do a lot split, it's very onerous. I feel like there needs to be more restrictions for developers. We want to rebuild. Our community of Punahou Street wants to rebuild. But despite SB 9, SB 1123 is much more frightening. And I have lots on our street that will probably be sold soon, quite large lots. We are a single-family residential community. We lost everything, and now we're losing our community. So I really hope that I know the town council's got our back, but we just need to keep pushing everyone. We need fairness. It should not be easier for developers to build 10 units on a cleared lot than for a family like myself to rebuild just one home, and maybe an ADU, but it should not be that way. They don't have to comply with the setbacks and all kinds of things. It's awful. Infrastructure, the other woman just talked about it, so I shouldn't belabor it, except I will say 1123 needs an infrastructure, right, that's nearby. My understanding, I could be wrong, but like schools, stores, restaurants, like it's not convenient to walk from our house in Altadena on the hill to a store. So I mean, to not have parking provided on these lots, adequate for the development, does not make any sense. And then future fires. I know that this could be a way off in the future, but there should be restrictions for these developers on how they build. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Angie is awesome. Everybody, democracy in action is just really amazing to witness. So again, as reiterating, 1123 is slightly sociopathic in that it also doesn't have any height limit restrictions though too. So that really can become a hilarious issue as well. So one thing that I'm going to say that's not going to be popular, though, is there are absolutely horrific SB 9 projects. There's no doubt about that. It's, as Anish was saying, it's like, I don't know, it's a little bit like pornography. You know what it is when you see it. It's awful sort of things. But under certain circumstances, there are a few SB 9s that are actually trying to do the right thing in the right area for the right people. If it's part of our community where they're trying to bring back, relatives or whatnot and consolidating onto one lot, and they're doing it in sort of a bungalow courtyard or something of that nature, sort of manner, then there's things that are appropriate. So it is a tiny bit of a big sledgehammer that we're doing with both of them, but I understand it, and I think that the state bill is 1090, and I do love the amendments that actually have already happened to this thing, because also when it was first written, it was really written weird. So with that only a developer that has more than 75 single-family homes, would be voided. But thank God that's no longer in the bill. So anyway, very good.
Nancy Robb.
Hi. I was born in Altadena Community Hospital, which is now underneath high-density housing on Lake. Went through Pasadena schools, and I want to have people know what the history of Altadena was. A small, diverse community, which was beautiful, lots of nature, and you were not allowed to build a second story. You were not allowed to build an ADU. Our lots were preserved. And now I guess I'm very disheartened after hearing today that now all of these projects that have already been submitted are going to happen. The one at Dolores and Mount Curve is 2 blocks from very high fire zone, which is my property line. I am in that zone. And how can you put 10 houses there on one little lot and not think that that's not going to cause this fire to spread even more? I would love to face the builders. I don't know if any of you are here in the room today, but I would love to see their faces, to look at us, because they're going to take the money, build, and then sayonara, we're never going to hear from them again. So I think it's a real problem, and I don't know how we can stop what we already have going in progress.
Neil Tyler, and before you start, I'd like to bring up Hugh Bonner
Shirley Collins, and Beth Andrews.
So I want to just start by saying 1090 is better than nothing. Thank you. It's something that's protecting this community, but it's not enough. We keep hearing about a 5-year moratorium. It's not a 5-year moratorium. You've told us it can't go into effect until 2027. Any applications until then continue. If it's actually going to be a 5-year moratorium, you need to make it till at least 2032, or you're just lying to the community. In addition, SCE cases are going to settle over the next 2 or 3 years. There's going to be a massive influx of sales then. Developers are just going to be sitting there waiting to buy up these properties, and we're going to be doing this again in 3 years when the deadline's approaching. Also, it's very concerning that everything that's been said today is not addressing what's already happened. And we've actually put up a signal for further developers to come in and buy up properties and get their applications in before this goes into effect. That needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed now. The way to do that is for everyone. ATC, Senator Perez, Senator Harabedian, LA County, you gotta get on the phone, you gotta push Newsom to do something. He is the one that can get retroactive relief and stop all these applications, all these developments. That is what brought 450 people to this meeting. It's not enough just to let us settle for what's happened and the further development over the next 6 months. We need more from you. Really quick, because I only have 25 more seconds. To everyone here, we cannot stop. There's a vote on June 24th. As I said, it's better than nothing. We need this bill to pass. Whether it gets further amended this legislative cycle or in future ones, it has to start with this one. So after everything I said, it's ways to improve the situation, but we as a community need to get even louder, get to Sacramento, convince people to support this, and get this legislation for our community.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shannon Larsole, and I'm a third-generation West Altena resident and a fifth-generation Pasadena community member. My family has lived in Altena since 1968, when my grandparents purchased the home that I still live in. I'm also a founding board member of the Altena Community Land Trust, and our mission is to prevent displacement and to strengthen the social fabric of a historically Black and multiracial community of working families and neighbors through community ownership of land and removing housing from the speculative market. We are currently working to build affordable housing for community members to return to, particularly our neighbors who are renters, tenants, and those living on fixed incomes. However, as a community land trust, our goal is to create affordable housing now and in perpetuity, and we are able to do this in part because of SB 9. SB 9 is a key component of our ability to build housing that is truly affordable because it allows us to make the math work in a way that allows us to then sell homes to community members at affordable rates. As a lifelong Altena resident, I, like many of you, are also concerned about for-profit developers coming in and taking advantage of laws to fundamentally change the composition of our neighborhoods. At the same time, I think it is vital that we build pathways for all of our neighbors to return home through affordable housing and using community-sensitive, gentle density, such as bungalow courts, which we know were prevalent in Altena prior to the fire. As SB 1090 is currently written, it is a blanket ban on SB 9, and that will fundamentally impair the ability for community land trusts and other nonprofit community developers like Greenline Housing Foundation and Beacon Housing to build affordable housing for our neighbors to return to. My hope is that there is a carve-out with very specific language that can be added to 1090 to allow registered community land trusts and other nonprofit community developers to utilize SB 90 to build affordable housing that is specifically with priority for returning Altena residents. Thank you.
Hugh?
Hi, I agree with Neil. It seems like we need a new executive order, so we should sort of concentrate on communicating with the governor's office. His points are spot on. We've sent a signal that, these developers better speed up and get their applications in right now. So that's not good. Anyway, and we're neighbors. I have been in this neighborhood since 1967. I just found out I'm at 1690 Brayburn, so I just found out about a planned development directly behind me at 1691 Mendocino, which borders my house on the southern property line. I found this out at 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday night, and it was, again, like, I'm sure you're familiar with this, the sensation of repetitive trauma, right? And all the emotions that you feel, the sense of entrapment, of panic, right? So hopefully this can be stopped. I mean, it's insane to think of an 11-unit lot on Mendocino, right? Yeah. So anyway, but so I wanted to add, okay, so every house on my block burned except one. Many are now going up, and I just want to say that I think my fellow Altadenas are going to be proud of the job that we're doing. These are going to be beautiful houses that we're dedicated to, that we put all of our time, energy, and money into. But when I heard about these developments that are being proposed, I thought, why, right? That's the other thing, the demoralization aspect of this. Although there are many in my neighborhood that are rebuilding aggressively, there are some that have set themselves over on the sidelines and are saying, well, we'll see what happens, right? And we'll make a decision dependent on what happens. So how are they gonna feel, right? So it's a wrecking ball, right? So we need to take direct, forceful action.
Shirley, before you begin, I want to bring up Katie Clark, Marissa Baskin, and Francesca Cartier. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth Andrews. I've lived in Altadena for 24 years. Stop this exploitation of our misfortune. No exploitation of our misfortune. That's what this is. We do not have leadership. We elect all of you, and there has been no leadership. I have a toxic home that I cannot go in without a P100 mask, but yet LA County cannot declare that a public health emergency. This is nonsense. The DINS report. My house has damage, but it shows up without it because of some ridiculous, I've spoken to Gene Potke. He said it's not supposed to be used. Chief Yanagasawa said that. Why are we, it's insulting. More rent price gouging. No one enforces it. Getting forbearance. No one enforces it. FEMA money, not available to us. There is no leadership. All of this is nonsense. It makes no sense. My home is not in a fire zone, but I stood with a garden hose as every single house around me was burning down. We need leadership. We need to make sense, not nonsense. There is no leadership on any of these issues. Again, no exploitation of our misfortune. It's that simple. Why can you leaders not go to Governor Newsom and get this done? Forget all this other nonsense. There has been no leadership and no enforcement of anything, and we are suffering. I am exhausted.
Just to reiterate with everybody else that I am in support of 1090. My name is Shirley Collins, and I have been here since the mid-70s, and my husband since 1968. And we are both Eaton fire survivors. I support SB 1090 because I believe people who lost their homes should be able to return to the same community they lived in before the Eaton fire. Many of us choose Altadena because of its single-family neighborhoods, large lots, open space, and unique character. We are concerned that outside investors may purchase fire-damaged properties and build multiple units on lots that historically contained a single home. If that happens on a large scale, Altadena can permanently be changed. Increased density means more traffic, more parking problems, greater strain on infrastructure, and the loss of the neighborhood character that generations of residents worked hard to preserve. The bill helps ensure that the recovery of Altadena is guided by the people who live here, not by investors looking to maximize profits after a disaster. The Eaton fire was a tragedy. It should not become an opportunity for outside interests to fundamentally change our community. I respectfully ask and continue to ask for the support of SB 1090 and for the protection of Altadena neighborhoods, for current residents, and for future generations. The victimizing has to stop. We are tired.
Good evening. Apologies for my voice. I am fighting a losing battle with my allergies. My name is Katie Clark, and I am a currently displaced total loss tenant. I've lived in Altadena for 17 years, and along with Shannon, our board president, a founding member of the Altadena Community Land Trust. Along with our partners and fellow community developers like Greenline Housing Foundation and Beacon Housing, we are working hard to build beautiful, sustainable, and permanently affordable housing for Altadena families to return to. I must emphasize that the projects that we've talked about tonight being proposed by for-profit developers under SB 1123 and SB 9 are not affordable housing. They will not be accessible to displaced Altadena renters and tenants. They will be engines of further displacement and gentrification. However, as Shannon also explained, the blanket ban in SB 1090, as currently written, would also close the door on many of our projects, which rely on SB 9 in order to pencil out as viable, affordable housing for displaced Altadena families. We believe SB 1090 must include a carefully written carve-out for good faith nonprofit community developers like us who are operating from within Altadena, lest we permanently shut down a vital pathway back for families who do not have any other options. Everything I have heard tonight from my neighbors here and in other conversations leads me to believe that the view of the Altadena community is far more nuanced than this policy is in its current form. SB 1090 can protect families and bring families back. We need a scalpel and not a sledgehammer. So to that end, we have provided amended language that would solve this problem to Senator Perez's team, to county officials, to the town council, and we ask that you let us continue doing our vital work on behalf of our neighbors who just need a new front door. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Francesca Cafarchia, and I've been a resident of Altadena for 28 years. My husband and I bought our home, and we thought it was just an absolute dream to be where we lived. We're completely devastated by what's going on in the community. As everybody has already said, and I'm repeating much, but I think that one of the most important things that we can do is to spread the awareness. I'm gonna tell a quick story. I remember back many years ago, I was watching news. They were televising the floods that were in the Sepulveda Basin when we had a lot of water and people were stranded and there was just disaster. And people were calling in and asking when the soap operas were gonna play. This is back in the day before streaming services and such. My point is that people will not understand unless you spread the word and make it a concern of theirs as well. And I think that's what we need to do. Is one thing that we had already touched on is that we can't make it only for, reach out to your senator, reach out to your assembly member, reach out to the governor's office. It has to be to these other assembly people so that we can do an emergency vote and get 2/3 vote. So I think that that's what we have to focus on, is get this out to other your other constituents or your other colleagues in the Senate. Thank you.
Next up is Marissa. And then I'd like to also call up Gwen, Sakina, Marcelo Dilserer Hughes, and then Mary Alice Peterson. It was hard to read these. Okay. And Christopher Brennan. Marissa? No? Last call for Marissa. Okay. Gwen Sukina?
I'd like to address Bill 1123.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm so loud, I probably don't even need this. 1123 is really concerning. I think it's fantastic that we've got Bill 1090 that is up and coming. But my biggest issue with it, one is this, they're marketing it as some starter home. And I haven't once heard what a definition, like a good definition of what a starter home actually is. And that is deeply concerning for me. Is there a target market? Is there a purchase price that they're marketing these homes to? What are the safeguards that exist to ensure these homes are sold to first-time buyers rather than investors or second home purchasers? How do we prevent them from becoming Airbnbs? These are concerns to residents here that we're afraid that even 3 years down the road when 1090 doesn't exist anymore, what is going to happen to our community? There are no meaningful affordability requirements with this bill, no restrictions on investor ownership, no guarantees that these homes will remain attainable for working families. Meanwhile, the bill streamlines approvals, limits public review, giving communities little opportunity to weigh in on the projects that permanently alter the character of their community and neighborhoods. If there is no accountability for price, no accountability for ownership, and no accountability for long-term affordability, then we should stop calling these projects starter homes. They are nothing more than a marketing slogan.
Marcelo? And the last two after Christopher is Karina Sanchez and Tony Bailey. Right? If you can line up right next to them.
Good evening, Town Council and my fellow Altadena neighbors. My name is Marcille Dilsaver-Hughes. I am a local realtor and I have a real passion for what's happening in our area. There is nobody that can deny that we need affordable housing. We need this throughout the state, and it is definitely something that is being addressed. However, I have some thoughts and opinions as a professional. Most studies show no harm where multifamily properties merged with single-family communities. However, these stats are regarding areas that are considered income average communities. Altadena is not that. Altadena has home values of 1.1 to 1.4, depending on whose statistics you're looking at. This research specifically addresses higher income, which our average is about $128,000, and low-density neighborhoods. This is a very different story. Household income families that have worked for generations to live here and have seen property values increase in the averages since 1995. That just doesn't happen. That is a community of people that are making this a great place to live. A study published by the Housing Urban Development found that all types of multifamily developments, not just affordable housing, depressed surrounding property values in higher income areas. Not as an average suburb ripe for development, but as a high-income, low-density community where multifamily development creates a documented economic impact. Studies concluded that multifamily housing had negative effects on property values specifically built in areas like ours.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Christopher Brunwyn, and I just wanted to say that probably echo the same story a lot of you may have. My wife and I lived in the most beautiful home you ever saw in Altadena for about 25 years. 1910 craftsman with a huge avocado tree in the backyard. I remember meeting Senator Perez on my front porch when she was running for election just before, earlier before the fire. And on January 8th, in the morning of January 8th, 2020-25, we ran for our lives. and our home of 25 years where we raised our son. The home my wife saw when, first time she saw it, she said, I want to live here. Burned to the ground within about an hour and a half after we escaped. I saw it completely engulfed in flames. Today we started pouring the foundation for our home. And every day during this time, our motivation and our inspiration and our goal has been to come home. Come home to our house, come home to our neighborhood, and come home to all of our neighbors. Losing what we did, the devastation of the fire, being displaced, all that time, and being here with you today reminds me of what a great neighborhood, what a great community this is. And as I say, our goal, and we want you to be with us in this goal, is to come home.
Coach Brunwyn, East Altadena Little League forever.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm Mary Alice Pedersen. I've lived in Altadena for 20 years. My home in West Altadena burned on January 7th, like everyone else's in my West Altadena neighborhood. I'm struggling to recover and to rebuild. I'm not opposed to development in general. I think cute SB9 bungalow courts are welcome. I love that families can build extra units for their extended families. I am upset that what I'm hearing about 1123 from Sasha Renee Perez is that it's a ministerial legislation, not discretionary, so there's nothing we can do as a county or a state. And I just want to say that's bullshit. There is something we can do. There is something we need to do right now. This Altadena is not urban infill. That SB 1123 applies to blighted lots that are in cities surrounded by other multifamily units. Great, let's build more in those. These lots here in Altadena were not neglected, blighted properties. They were places where families lived until last year, and they are only empty. Those lots are only empty because of our SCE's utilities negligence and the incompetence of the Los Angeles County Fire Department. This is not fair to us. Please. Let's use some common sense as our county building and safety and planning departments and tell all of these big development projects, no, right now, no, we do not accept these. These do not meet the qualification of this law as urban infill, and we will only accept projects that are suitable for our Altadena community and designed to bring Altadena residents back home. We do not need to provide housing for, I don't know who else these big developments are for, but I don't think they're for people that were here that would probably prefer to live in homes like they lived in before our town burned down. Thank you.
Pre-night shift. I'm Karina. I'm in support of 1090. We lived in a very prominent, well-recognized home on Homewood ever since I finished residency. Coincidentally, today the county also talked to us about sewer. So that is what brings to mind this 1123 and the increased density. The sewer will cost over $1 million, close to $2 million for 30 homes. Do you think that the developer is gonna pay for that? Do you think that those smaller homes are gonna want to put that money towards a sewer when they can just move into whatever septic or exists? This will take us years to get approval. They said we need 100% approval to move forward with sewer. We're not gonna end up on sewer. They're not gonna vote on sewer. Adding these developments are just gonna delay the infrastructure further, which already has been brought up, is going to be an issue. As our neighbor said, we This is our best option right now. I did advocacy for emergency medicine for years on behalf of residents, on behalf of the American College of Emergency Physicians. You have to realize where you can take a win, and sometimes it's not as perfect as you want it to be. This may be our best shot right now, and the timeline is coming up close. Thank you.
Sylvia, don't be clicking that yet. You guys tell I'm always here. I'm Tony Bailey Rains. I am an Altadenian since 1968, and it's Altadena. I always say that, not Altadena, but I always correct everybody. I even corrected Senator Sasha Renee Perez when she was on my podcast one day. She was like, oh, sorry, Tony. But I've been here since 1968. We love our wonderful, beautiful Altadena. I just want to say this, it's never going to be the same. That ended last year. So I hear a lot of anger. It bothers me because people feel they have a right to say people can't build how they want. It's not ever going to look the same. It's not, some are building craftsmen, some are building whatever. We were eclectic before this fire. It's going to be eclectic again. I don't care if you go 2 stories or whatever. It's your choice. If you want to have an ADU for your parents or your family, have at it. The law allows that. However, I am absolutely in support of 1090 because it is a starting point. We have to start somewhere. We can't be against everything and stay negative. If you stay negative, you're never going to be happy, whether you come back home or not. So try to look on the bright side. And I want to thank each of you on this council because I've heard a lot of people angry at y'all, and none of this is your fault. And when we talk about voting or being here, we have never seen this many people here. I'm here, I missed last month, but I'm here pretty much every month. So I would love for all of you to come out next month and the next month and the next month at 7 p.m. on the 3rd Tuesday. Not just when Edison is going to be here, not just when we're talking about bills and laws and all of that, because if it's democracy in action, is that my first minute, Sylvia? Oh, no, okay. If it's democracy in action, that's all of us here every month. And that's how we make change and our voices heard, not just when it's something big or you want to hear it, okay? So don't mean to chastise y'all like you're my kids, because you're not, but let's try to stay united. I'm sorry, Sylvia, I'm gonna go over just a second. Let's try to stay united and not blame them. They're doing everything they can. So come out next month at this time on the 3rd Tuesday. Every month. Tony. Okay? All right.
That concludes our public comment on the special presentation.
Thank you, Councilmember Yu. We do have one more comment card, but it's listed for general, so it will be later. If that's your card, that's being held for later. We're moving on to our special presentation from SCE. Vice Chair, do we know the speakers?
David
Ford
will be speaking.
David, perhaps you can introduce your speakers. We'll say probably good night to the senator.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you leave it right there? Is it in your way? All right, David, all yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to be on your agenda this evening. My name is David Ford. I'm the Government Relations Manager for Southern California Edison. We have a couple colleagues here tonight that will be talking about various programs and providing an update on the rebuild that we're doing here in the community. So in the best interest of time, I'd like to bring up Natalie Flores-Rios, who is a manager at our Energy Education Center. She'll be talking about some programs that I think are very vital for your homes in the rebuilding efforts. And then she'll be followed by one of our gentlemen here, Anthony, who is here tonight, that will talk about the status of the rebuild as well. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And as you step up, Natalie, thank you all for being here. I think I did express, with trepidation, I was listening to a presentation on these, and I was very impressed. So I'm glad you're here to present to the community something that, as already their customers, will offer them an opportunity to save money. Because I've heard it before, I need to get some water, and I want to say hi to the folks outside. So I appreciate you. I just wanted to explain my absence.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for inviting us to discuss our programs. My name is Natalie Flores Rios. I'll be discussing the Switch program and the Rise Homes programs. The Switch program is from our Energy Efficiency Department. This is a specific program for the Pacific Palisades and Eden Fire, who are part of the SCE customers. So this program is intended to provide incentives for all electric appliances, so that's per appliance. There's a few options for the application path, which is to reserve funds, so that's applying for those funds before you actually buy them and build them, and that will reserve your funds. The incentive request, which is considered after the installation, we know that you're at various points of your rebuild. The program is coming soon. It was just approved, I believe, about 2 weeks ago. It will launch on August 1st of 2026. The total is up to about $13,000 in available incentives, and it provides added flexibility without requiring the gas service to be capped. So this one, again, will be launched August 1st. This is per appliance, and this is an alternative to an all-electric rebuild. You can go to the next one. So the Rise Homes, a very quick overview. It's the Rebuilding Incentives for Sustainable Electric Homes. This is a statewide program. So it's eligible to 6 participating electric IOUs or utilities that provided funding for it. It provides incentives for all electric residential homes, including single-family, multifamily, ADUs, modular, and manufactured homes. There are stackable incentives, which we're working on a cheat sheet just this week with the implementer so that we can make that a little bit easier to understand. Because there's multiple programs that you could actually participate in to provide you with more resources. The dedicated support is one of my favorite parts of this program because there are program staff that can help you throughout the lifetime of your project for your applications, for homeowners, builders, and stakeholders to help you through that process, including the documentation that will not only be needed for this program, but that would likely be needed for throughout the life cycle of your project and rebuild. So if there's anything that you need help with, they can't tell you what to do, but they could provide you with some guidance. There's also bonus incentives for whole home batteries if you choose to add one to your home, an ultra-low GWP heat pump water heater, and also if you choose to have a passive house certification. This program was also originated back in, it's meant to help those who need to rebuild for a declared disaster as of 2017. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. This is a quick glimpse of the program incentives. So this is a base incentive depending upon the unit type or home type to help you with your all-electric rebuild of your home. You can go to the next slide. Again, this was written prior to the fires of last year, and this program has been on hold for about a year. These are the bonus incentives for the whole home battery, that ultra-low GWP refrigerant, heat pump water heater, and also the passive house measures. So there is a separate process for that, but that certification would be part of your rebuild, and then you would qualify for that incentive. You can go to the next slide. So this is just a really brief overview. I don't know if you saw our table out in the front, but we have some Rise Homes coordinators who can help you answer any questions about your all-electric rebuild. You can go to risehomescalifornia.com. We launched April 6th. You can start your application, find additional resources, and also our program coordinators are truly standing by out here in the front in the lobby to answer any of your questions. You can also email us at info@risehomescalifornia.com. And the phone number is 833-202-3654. Thank you, and I will pass it over to Anthony Gallardo.
Just let me get the microphone set up. Yes, good evening. As Natalie said, I'm Anthony Gallardo. I'm the Senior Project Manager for the Targeted Undergrounding out in Altadena. You probably met my peer in the past, Bradley Pinzak. He couldn't be here tonight, so I stepped in to fill in for him. If you could go to my first slide. And some of these slides you may have seen in the past, in past presentations from Brad, but we just wanted to give a recap and some updated numbers. So as communicated in the past, we are looking to underground around 63 miles of new distribution lines throughout the community and the surrounding areas. And out of those 63 miles, about 40 miles are in the high fire area. So the current designated high fire area as it exists. Our 2026 plan is to target 20 miles in the community. Now, as of this week, we are at risk of losing around 3 miles of the 20 miles this year due to the right of entry agreements throughout the community that we have not secured yet, which I'll talk just briefly about in a future slide. And then we continue to go out to the community engagements, the farmers markets, the LPA team like David's team, the project management team. We have a contractor that's out there, so we're continuing to engage with the community at these events to communicate information, to solicit any questions or just, any issues that folks want to bring up, the residents. And then also, if you're not aware, we do have a site that gives these updates as well, and that's our disaster recovery site. So it's www.sce.com/disaster recovery. But if you have any questions, I would first point you to the Arch, which is at 2680 Fair Oaks, just 2 blocks or so past the Fair Oaks Burger, or at the One Stop. You're more than welcome to go into the One Stop, but I do encourage folks to go into the Arch just because the parking is a little bit better there, and we do have a full staff. And I know that the One Stop, the parking has been a problem in the past. But if you cannot make it into one of those locations, you could also email us at sceprojects@sce.com. Okay? If you could go to the next slide. So this map here is a little hard to see on the screen, but I'll do my best to explain it for everybody in the room and anybody watching online. So the green segments that are hard to see, that is what we completed in 2025. This is something that Brad has talked about in the past, and it holds true today. The salmon color, which is kind of hard to see, that is what we're targeting for 2026. That's the 20 miles right there. And then the rest of it, the blue area, that is our 2027 scope and beyond. So as we design the scope, we are going to continue to engage with the community for additional ROEs, that's the right of entry agreements, if needed, and also just engage in the community to inform them what's going on in their neighborhood. And also a tentative timeline, which I'll touch on in, I think it's the next slide or the slide after. So you could go ahead and go to the next slide. And again, it's the slide before, I'm sorry. Yeah. So again, this one's a little hard to see, but this gives an outline of the neighborhoods and the tentative dates that we are scheduling for 2026 work. So you'll see some names on there like the Rosebud, Homewood, Bunny. Those may sound familiar from past conversations, but these are the areas that we're targeting for 2026. And I'm not sure if these slides will be available online or not, but I could take that back and find out for you guys, okay? If you could go to the next slide. So the areas that you see in the bubbles are at-risk miles for 2026. So we included the census tract numbers here for the council. And these are the areas where, we're still working through the community engagement to get the right of entries or even just to make contact with the property owner. So I know David's team and Brad and myself, we've been just leaning on the town council to help with that engagement and help facilitate those conversations. So I look forward to those future engagements, and I see some faces that I recognize at the table today. If you want to go to the next one. And then again, I talked about the arch. If you haven't been there, if you have any questions, there's a great staff there. You're probably going to see some very familiar faces from the One Stop. You're going to see, Daniel, Enrique, folks like that, Andrew, the planner. But any questions, and then I also sit out of there, and I'm in the community pretty much every single day. I'm meeting with homeowners and also contractors as well to resolve issues. But there's information on there. If you have any questions, you can reach out, you could call those numbers. And then just lastly, with any disaster, there's always a rise in scams. I've kind of heard a little bit of that earlier. Just be aware if any resident here, if you receive a phone call from somebody that is representing themselves as our company and they're requesting a payment or, just something like that, saying that, it could be that you're going to be disconnected by the end of the day if you don't send over some cash cards or something. Just be aware and also spread that news with the community as well. You could always come into the Arch or the One Stop if you're leery about a phone call. I have been contacting homeowners personally, and I've been leaving messages. Oftentimes when I get the phone call back, the response is, I wasn't sure if it was a scam or not, because they're just being inundated with these scam calls and also just contractors, people looking to buy the property. So, any questions at all, please come in, okay? And I am gonna pass it off to Thomas Wong. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. Just a quick announcement. I know we're running out of time and it's been a long night. Just wanted to announce our upcoming June 30th Welfare Recovery Compensation Program community meeting that we're hosting at Westminster Presbyterian Church. Invite members of the public, folks from Altadena area to join us here. We will have Spanish translation available. We're asking folks to register so that we can have a head count for how much food and dinner to have, and so we can prepare properly to accommodate everyone. But again, it'll be June 30th, which is a Tuesday night, 6 p.m. at Westminster Presbyterian. Invite folks to come learn more about the conversation program, ask questions. We'll have experts and our claims representatives on hand, and a few folks that are interested in sharing about their own claimant stories that have gone through the program and received payment as well, that are interested in sharing their experience going through the program. So invite, again, members of the public, the town council, to help us spread the word about this upcoming meeting. And on the next slide, the last slide, if there are any folks that can't make it or would like to just learn more about the program, our website is available for the claims program, sce.com/direct claims. The number's there as well, and the QR code goes straight to the website, sce.com/direct claims. And we'll leave it at that. If there are any questions, I'll invite my colleagues back up to answer any questions from the town council.
Thank you. Council members, we're going to take some questions. Councilmember Whirlidge.
Thank you. So as you guys know, on April 21st, the council voted to send a letter of recommendation to the county regarding 5 specific issues about your targeted undergrounding work. My question is, has the county reached out to you to coordinate, any resolutions to those recommendations?
I'll answer this briefly, and then if Dave and Anthony want to chime in a little bit. We've even before the letter, we have been working closely with the county, with Anish Barger's office, Public Works, Regional Planning, and others at the county to coordinate on many of those issues and concerns that are laid out in the letter or what was discussed here at the town council. We're well aware of those concerns, including vegetation, tree impacts, some concerns around undergrounding, placement of right, pad mount transformers, other equipment, costs for interconnections. We're working to address those. We're continuing to work closely with county on addressing all of those concerns. Some of those I think have been addressed over the months, and our team, Anthony, Brad, our operations team, the ARCH team, the planners, are all working through those and have been doing individual contacts with homeowners, property owners, to address specific concerns in their neighborhood and on their streets and on their properties for a lot of those concerns. And we're happy to continue to work through any of those specific concerns for property owners. You can reach out to us at the ARCH if you're interested in your specific property, your street, and we're happy to work through all of those things. I don't know if we want to add anything.
We also have developed a monthly newsletter that we're sending out to each one of y'all to redistribute back out to the community. That is being sent out to you on constant contact, right? And so if you see that coming in, it's not a scam. It is relevant information that you can share with your constituents in your census tracts. And we intend to do that regularly to provide updates.
Can I just ask one follow-up? Sure. Specifically for residents with standing homes who need to connect to new infrastructure, you mentioned that you are working on finding financial support for those residents. It could be up to $30,000, $40,000 to connect to that infrastructure and do the necessary updates to the home. Do you have any specific updates on any financial support for those residents?
Well, standing homes are, I'm gonna let Anthony answer that one specifically because standing homes can still connect overhead if we're undergrounding, if you want to detail that real quick.
Yeah, Morgan. So the standing homes, if I understand your question correctly, are you asking if they want to underground and not stay overhead?
My understanding is that, so you propose that if you have a standing home and you do not want to connect to underground, that SE will come and put a telephone or put a power pole in your front yard and then connect to your overhead, right?
Yeah, that's one way. It could be done to stay overhead. Now, if
So
they
for those
choose to-
residents who don't want a pole in every front yard to connect to their weatherhead, what specifically has been done to provide financial support for those that wish to connect to the new undergrounding infrastructure?
Yeah, so as of now, I do not believe there's anything in place for it. Go ahead.
So at the infrastructure utility subcommittee meeting that we had, we talked a little about some of the financial resources we're trying to pursue and support LA County, the state pursuing. Right now, we don't have any new news in terms of the CPUC. We have issued a request to the CPUC to allow an exemption to the existing requirement that customers that are connecting to underground service have to pay for the interconnection costs to connect to the stub out. To exempt at least a portion of those costs. We're still waiting to hear back from the CPUC. That advice letter's been in for a number of months now. We continue to urge them to take action on that. And we're supporting the LA County and state of California's application for the hazard mitigation grant program to FEMA. There was written into that grant application some funding to allow or to offset some of the costs for interconnecting for new underground customers. So that will be at least a few more months.
So no money?
There's no new news, yeah.
Thank you. And just one quick follow-up. We have asked, I know we did request to see a copy of that letter that you submitted to CPUC. So if there's a way to get that to us, we would appreciate that.
Yeah, we can share the advice letter number so that you can.
We have one more question from Councilmember Anderson.
I just want to say we're in discussions with the county about costs associated with the secondary tap, for customers. So, we're still optimistic that, hopefully something will come to fruition, but we're still in not negotiations, but discussions.
Councilmember Anderson.
+1 on financial support for standing homes. But my question is actually for Natalie with regards to the efficiency items. For me and for my constituents, can you just do like a jargon check for me and help me understand what a passive home is?
Sure. So passive home is, well, the incentive is for a passive home, and the idea is that the material that is used to build it and the way that it's built makes it more energy efficient, which is why it is called a passive home. So there is one of the more obvious items I think that stands out is there's usually a space in between just before the external wall and one of the inner walls. I'm sorry, I'm not an architect, I don't know what it's actually called, but that spacing is closed so that way it's more efficient in keeping heat inside the home if needed, or keeping it cool inside the home. So the way that it's built and the material that's used to build it, for example, weather-resistant glass for the windows is another part of that. There is a passive home network that does the actual certification, and it's been more prevalent in California in recent years, and a lot more builds beyond the emergency rebuilds have wanted to go all electric, and then also have this passive house certification, which was an option that was added in as requested by the CPUC.
So essentially it's really more for rebuild as opposed to retrofits.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, SCE, for joining us this evening and for your patience. It's a late hour. We're moving on to public comment. I've got, I believe, one card for public comment. I got it, Kim. Robert Steller. Thank you, Robert.
Good evening. I'm Rob Steller, and I'm a 35-year resident of Altadena, also lost our home in the fire. I'd like to thank the Altadena Town Council for its ongoing advocacy on behalf of the Altadena community. But tonight I'd like to turn to a somewhat different topic than we've been talking about. I'd like to return to our ongoing concern regarding the undergrounding of utilities in our neighborhoods. My first comments to the Town Council regarding the lack of participation by AT&T and Spectrum in the current Edison undergrounding program were in March. I commend the council for its rapid response in creating and voting unanimously to deliver the previously mentioned policy recommendation letter to the county supervisors, demanding that Edison undergrounding program be paused until several tree protection measures were in place, and that AT&T and Spectrum be mandated to participate in the undergrounding program. That letter was delivered in April, as Morgan has said. But we haven't seen any indications that Edison's planning process is weighing the risk to existing trees, despite a letter of reprimand from the county. Edison is still placing service entrance connections underneath oak trees, where homeowners will be unable to connect to them without violating the county oak tree ordinance. My neighbor has this situation. Nor have we seen or heard any indication that AT&T or Spectrum will participate in the ongoing Edison undergrounding program, sentencing us to at least one more round of disruptive and damaging trenching in our streets at some point in the future, and the continuing presence of their poles and cables in our yards. We have had no public response from the supervisor's office that I have seen, or seen any consequences of the council's policy recommendation letter in the past 2 months. The county supervisors serve as administrators of the AT&T and Spectrum franchises. The supervisors need to demand that these telecom companies participate in the present Edison undergrounding program in order to minimize the ongoing disruption of the Altadena community. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the section. I'm moving on to community reports. Council of Parks and Rec could not wait around. We will hear from them in 2 months. We will bring up former council member and council chair Billy Malone with an announcement from Christmas Tree Lane Association. Hello, Billy.
Hi, all.
Thank you for waiting.
Many of you I'm more familiar with who may have remembered me on the council for a number of years. So it's good to see you all here. It's been a tough night for everybody. So it's one thing I'm always proud of is how our community comes together on important issues. And I'm really proud of everybody stood up here and above all, I'm a community member. I live around the corner. I live on Santa Rosa Avenue, and I'm tired of hearing several comments that people make. Agreeing with what several people are commenting on, that I'm tired of hearing that we get victimized over and over and over again by people from outside of the community when we're still recovering. So I thank everyone that came out and spoke today. On a note, I have moved on in my volunteer basis for the community, and I am now, as of last week, the new president for the Christmas Tree Lane Association. This also means a lot to me for several reasons. I also live on Santa Rosa Avenue, but north of the lights. And one thing I will say, on the night of the fires, when the fires surrounded us, Christmas Tree Lane was our route of exit. So when we came back, seeing the trees still standing, it meant a lot, and I'll always remember that on the night of the fires, and how much it means coming back, and how much it means to our community that it is still standing and that we still support it. This is our 107th year of Christmas Tree Lane. Started in 1920, so feel free to come out. We do have a new board in place. Again, as was voted in as president, I do stand in large shoes. Those who know Christmas Tree Lane Association, there was Tony and Maureen Ward for decades, Scott Wardlaw that did it for many years. So I stand in tall shoes. Hope I'm a success. I'm not trying to change anything. I'm just the latest steward of a great Altadena institution and its continued success. So I want to see everybody continue to support it, and I thank the town council for supporting it and everybody else from the community. Our website will be updated with a new board of directors, so I welcome everybody to go to it soon. It's not updated yet. We are all volunteers, the same as every other organization in town, so we don't get paid, but it will be updated soon. So if you want to reach anybody on the board, if you have questions, contact us. Feel free to contact me. I'm always approachable. If anybody wants to take it down, my cell phone number is 626-893-0787. I'm not shy to being communicated or communicating back. And I love to hear all ideas. And the whole thing about it is being a partnership. Now, it has been over the years a very small event and is very community oriented. Unfortunately, it's gotten larger. I still like the community feel. COVID kind of changed that even before the fires, when the whole city was looking for places to go where you could drive through, and it became more popular. So we've had to deal with a lot more traffic. And now after the fires, we're now as we saw last year, we had 20,000 people. We don't anticipate that changing, but it does create a lot more headaches. But what we want to try to do is take that into account.
Feliz
keep it focused
Navidad.
local.
Billy, thank you.
Thank you.
Feliz Navidad. Billy, congratulations, President Malone. Thank you so much. We're moving on to community reports. We'll start with 8.1 land use. Chair Marone.
Good evening. The Land Use Committee met on June the 2nd, where we heard two presentations. The first was by Leah Farazani regarding a forthcoming restaurant upgrade and a move to a new location at 2082 Lincoln Avenue. There may be a potential for an alcohol license in the future, which will be voted on by the Land Use Committee. Altadena Steadfast also informed the committee of their updates, and we look forward to the next land use meeting, which will be July the 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Morona. We'll move to Chair Green with Renters Protection and Recovery.
It'll be really quick. The Renters Protection Committee continues to support tenants in concert with the Altadena Tenants Union. We are providing resources. One in particular I wanted to heighten for your knowledge is the Altadena Farmers Market, where they have free produce and they give these out to residents. I've actually signed up about 20 people. Their next round, they've been given 80 new vouchers. This is just great news, I think, for our community. Beginning July 2nd, I'm asking that you go to their website, altadenafarmersmarket.com, and you can sign up to get a voucher. They give you a voucher and the day to come and pick it up, so I think that's an incredible resource. I believe that is the only thing that I need in the interest of time, and I have another report. I'm going to move on and conclude that report.
Thank you, Chair Green. Continue.
And the next report is legislative affairs. In the interest of redundancy, I won't go over everything, but I do want to mention, let me put on my glasses. Let me mention that I did make public comment at a task force where they voted to move from 5 supervisors to 9 for LA County, Measure G. I was able to go and make a public comment for Altadena and other incorporated areas, and they were very thankful that we were there. I attended a Care Fund press conference, which I thought was important. And last but not least, there was a lot of things discussed tonight, and I'm sure you're gonna hear other things about legislation. We have really worked hard to try to make a tracker. This is something new that we're rolling out for the community. So once our website is updated and everything is running, there will be a place where you can go. They did give some .coms for you tonight, but I'm sure everybody's not gonna remember that. So I will give you the website for each of the legislations that are affecting Altadena at high level, so that you can go and make comments, and also the people that you can write. I'm like, I got a timer? Am I going long? No, but I just think that's so important to tell you guys, because these legislations, sometimes it's reported that they're there, but you don't know what part they're at in the committee. I think this tracker is gonna be phenomenal for the community, and we are working hard to roll that out, and I think that's it. That's my legislative affairs report. I got so much. Okay. But I think that's it. I just encourage you to please make sure you follow our website. You can reach me at darlene.green@altadena.org. And you can also find the Altadena Town Council's website, where I'm always posting legislation as it affects us. Last but not least, I forgot. Supervisor Barger is rolling out a vegetation for overgrown yards, and she's having a 30-day report back. But that's the kind of stuff you can find out if you follow us on the Altadena Town Council. I think these are just great. And Instagram, too. And Instagram. Thank you, Sylvia. So there's a high time for legislation, and we're up to the task. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair Green. Moving on to education, Chair Molden.
Good evening, everybody. I'm excited to announce that we do have our summer interns. I hope you guys had the pleasure of meeting them out front. Welcoming you to the meeting. And this will be now our 5th year hosting our summer interns. But I'd first like to say congratulations to the class of 2026. The Education Committee and many of our fellow council members helped wrap up their school year by helping them out with their resumes, sitting in with their senior defense presentations, and we wish them all the success. And to go back to the interns, we've started our meetings for the summer, and they're gonna go through the end of July. And keep an eye out for their summer project where they're gonna engage with the community regarding the Works app and illegal dumping. So if you guys would like to contribute to their project and advocate for how we can educate the community on reporting illegal dumping in our community, please reach out to the Education Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Molden. Moving on to Rebuild and Infrastructure Committee, Chair Whirlidge.
Thank you. I will keep this short. I circulated a committee report to you guys so you can read it at your leisure. I'm not going to go into the SB 90 or SB 9 stuff, but I did circulate some language which I'm going to defer to Councilmember Green on, because it would have to do with the way that the law is written. And I did want to just update the council that to date, there has been no response from the county to the letter that we did send to them in April regarding SEE's undergrounding. Those 5 points you could read about in the report. And I wanted to give everyone a heads up that you do have this QR code in the report. This is for a new dashboard that my committee has been working on. And specifically, thank you to Brendan Loudermilk, who put this dashboard together. But if you go to that website, altadata.org, you can see a qualitative dashboard that is an amalgamation of the data that the county puts out every single day on the permitting updates, applications, permits issued, and construction underway. So it's an incredible resource, and we're gonna probably present that more at a later date, but you can go check it out now, it's live. And then I just wanted to also say that, we're continuing to do community engagement through the form that we have. So anybody who wishes to, contact the Rebuild and Infrastructure Committee can do so at the form. There's also a QR code here, and it was on our last council meeting, so you can check it out there. That's it for my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Whirlidge. It is an impressive dashboard. I look forward to getting it on the website, and I encourage other council members to check it out. Great work, everybody. Moving on to the last two, Safe Streets and Mobility, Chair Wong.
Hi, everyone. So as we go through this rebuilding recovery journey, it's an opportunity for us to really think about how we move around our town. So there's a lot of different groups doing things. Altadena Village is also working with the businesses. There's all different groups moving around town. And so the bicycle master plan, public draft will be coming out to the public soon for us to comment on. Those are the words from the county, soon. So we think 1 month or two, but hopefully sooner than later. And I think I did mention that the county public health applied for the pedestrian plan framework, and they didn't get the competitive grant. So the county is trying to figure out what to do. So this is our opportunity to start building more conversation. There is a design fair, which is open to the community through the Dina Hive Consortia on Fair Oaks, and all kinds of things going on. So walks are happening, bike rides, we do the poppy ride. So yeah, that's where we're at now. Not a lot of formal conversations, but more taking in kind of what's happening and staying up to date. Also, we do need to do some work on how mobility in the West San Gabriel Valley area plan, as well as our infrastructure, and how mobility can play into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Wong. We'll move on to bylaws, but I will say as we start uplifting the efforts of the community, certainly it'll be great to amplify when your regular meetings are, all of you committees, because hearing from the community in those meetings will be crucial in moving forward. We'll move on to our last report from the Bylaws Committee. Chair Chipola.
The Bylaws Committee met at a date and time in the past and continues to do the exciting work of making sure we run efficiently and in order. We will continue to do said work on Tuesday, June 30th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. I will send you all a link. I'd appreciate your input in this process. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comment. Oh, so patient. Thank you, Esther. Go ahead.
We do have one last final public comment. Thank you for waiting, Esther.
Hi, my name is Esther Kim, and I've been volunteering as an advocate for businesses and commercial corridors. And I wanted to share that we've been working on, just like the long-term housing process has like an interim strategy of either RVs or prefab units. We're working with the existing stakeholder businesses at Mariposa Junction as well as Fair Oaks to create some kind of retail modular incubator / transition to permanent long-term recovery, which will take a long time. So this retail pop-up would be like a modular type of structure. And we've sort of created a little pilot study on Mariposa Junction with the Mariposa commercial property owners to incubate an MVP, or like a minimum viable project, for key anchor businesses that were there prior. For instance, Steve's Bikes, Altadena Hardware. And it will start small with the anchor businesses that were there before, but could also incubate future projects, businesses, as well as civic purposes. So for example, I think I just want to announce this so that we could begin to work on a community engagement for developing priorities for civic amenities in a 1 to 2 year transition period. And they could be anything from postal services, package centers, and like medical clinics or other type of things that are urgent and priorities, civic amenities. So that's to follow.
Thank you, Esther. Moving on to 10, census tract reports, 10.1, 4610.
With fond childhood memories of old-fashioned days parade, I want to give a quick census tract report for the great census tract of 4610. Super quick, we've had inconsistent trash, and we've been working with UWS and just found out that the director of operations for UWS has reached out to us, and so for those of you out there in TV land, just know that we are working on that, and so that's in process. We heard back, for those of you who showed up, asking about the proposed car wash. We actually, Councilmember Molden and I have met with the developer, and so that concept there is evolving. And then also report a great small business mixer at the Good Neighbor Bar this last Friday, sponsored by several organizations, including Project Passion, the NAACP, My Tribe Rise, and Inclusive Action, among others. And that was a really great event. And also want to make sure I shamelessly plug our Linktree, which is linktr.ee/Altadena4610, where we have our public engagement, surveys, and other information. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 10.2, 4603.01.
Cheney Gates will be closed for the 4th of July, in case you didn't hear, Councilwoman Wong. But that's all we have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, please stick around, council members, so I can give some tasks if you're able to stay. We need to clear out the room. You're welcome to stay and help us too. I will entertain a motion
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, so moved. We are adjourned.